It is NASCAR fantasy time, Kyle, for Talladega Superspeedway, the first installment at this track for the season. Obviously, we'll have that later on into the playoffs, way down the line. But for this time, it is Ryan Blaney's time as the defending race winner of this race as well. And this was a big race last season. If you obviously anybody really remembers it, the iconic moment of the 43 car being pushed.
It was the first one we did back, right?
It was. So this is a bit of
obviously a different date, but
yeah, a feel-good kind of a race here. The Bubba Wallace car being pushed to the front of the grid here in this race about a year ago or so, and we're closing in less than a month now since NASCAR returned from the pandemic last season at Darlington. That was May 17th, I believe. So, it's been a crazy year, and Talladega a little bit earlier than what it was last season. But, just a lot of storylines in that race. Hopefully we get a lot of storylines coming out of this one in a lot of good light, and looking forward to the Talladega race. But let's get into the fantasy preview. You start us off, Mr. Cushman, as you won last weekend at Richmond. We're not going to talk about who won the race because that was just unfortunate on my part.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Congrats, Alex Bowman, for being a stay away from that wins the race once again. I don't know how I do it. But I do it. And I've got a lot of stay away froms in this one, so make sure you stay tuned for that.
Really? That's a bit dangerous for you.
Yeah, I know. And I'm trying to cover my ground here so that I can get my bonus picks right, because that's where I went for my bonus picks. So I'm doing a bit of reverse psychology with all this stuff.
Hey, I don't know if it'll work, though.
I don't think it'll work either. But let's get into the fantasy picks. You start us off.
Yes. So Talladega is, of course, one of the most difficult ones to go into, just in terms of what strategy you try to use, because it's such a chaotic race where still a lot of the big dogs go out and perform well. It's just a matter of which ones do and if they get caught up in wrecks, because a lot of the time the guys that are grabbing 20 stage points and stuff like that don't finish the race. And so it's a really, really tough balance to find in terms of, especially in the regular season, trying to balance finding good cars that could go out and get really solid top 10s, get some stage points as well, and give you the kind of return that you want in fantasy, but also not maybe blowing usages on guys that you want to use later in the year that are more quote unquote sure things later in the year. So I think for both of us, that's the big thing we have to juggle here.
Finding that balance.
Exactly. And I'm starting with Eric Almarola because of that, where I look less at average finish and more at just overall top 10s at this track, just because average finish can be teared down because of one finish of like 35th and stuff like that. But for Eric Almarola, over the last 3 years at Talladega, 6 races, 1 win, 3 finishes in the top 5, 5 finishes in the top 10. He's been really, really consistently strong at Superspeedways his entire career. Not just over this recent stretch here, but we know how strong Stewart-Haas can be on these super speedways. They're in a borderline must-win situation already this year, and this is going to be one of the best opportunities for Almarola this season to get back in that playoff hunt, whether that's a big points haul, whether that's a win. I like Stewart-Haas. I like Almarola. He's my first pick here.
Alrighty. I also have Eric Almarola in my lineup this weekend for all the reasons you just mentioned there. He's had some terrible luck in his season so far. And when I look back to the fall race, he had some bad luck there as well, basically leading and then getting wiped out there on the back straightaway that caused that big playoff implication kind of wreck. But saying that, I do think that Eric Almarola is a good guy to put in your lineup this week, and you're not going to be worried about using all 10 usages on him.
That's the big thing.
By any means this season. And I haven't even used one for Eric Almarola this season. He's much better at Talladega than he is at Daytona. For whatever reason, sometimes these speedway numbers don't correlate, and it is
it's the same discipline, but it's 2 very different tracks.
Yeah, different handling characteristics and how wide it is as well. Talladega much wider than Daytona.
I don't know if you know this, but the finish line at Talladega is in a different spot. I don't know if they've ever mentioned that on the broadcast before.
Oh my God.
I know I had to get the one pet peeve in there.
God, the amount of time they just mention these things, it's just. DW was the worst with it, even though I love DW. Yeah. Oh man! Nonetheless, that is my first pick as well for fantasy this weekend. For my second pick, I'm going with the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman.
I knew you would.
He let me down at Daytona, and I'm not
you
letting it
love
happen
this
again.
man at super speedways.
I love this guy at super speedways, and he's got an average finish over the last 6 races at Talladega at 12.17, 1 top 5, 4 lap sled. He starts 28th on Sunday. I don't know. I just like Newman on these tracks. He's kind of always put himself in the right position at the right time. He's always there at the end. I swear to God, he's just right there in that mix. He never wins, but he's right there in that top 5, top 10 on that last lap. Usually is leading on the last lap and then doesn't make it back to the start-finish line. But I'm looking forward to having Newman in my lineup and try and redeem my Daytona 500 absolute shambles on lap 13 wreck to this time getting a little bit of redemption arc here with Newman as my second guy.
So I knew that you would be going with Newman.
Yeah.
I had him on my short list. Like, he's got some really, really strong numbers here over the last 6 races and just in general as well. But because of that, I'm not going to go with Ryan Newman. I am going to go with his stablemate, though, and that is Chris Buescher. He's got some really, really, really strong runs recently on super speedways in general. The overall numbers aren't fantastic. He's been caught up in quite a few different accidents and whatnot, but last year's regular season race at Talladega, finished 6th. We've seen him in the conversation more so at Daytona, I think, than Talladega, but the overall discipline is the same. I like Roush Fenway coming into this weekend, both Newman and Buescher. They seem to work really well and always be in similar circumstances. Buescher's had some worse luck over the last couple of years, but I think the talent's there, and I think that he'll maybe break through for another really, really strong result here. Whether that's stage points, whether that's just a good finish, I'm not sure, but I like those Roush Fenway cars a lot going into this weekend, so I wanted to go with one of them. I knew you were going to take Newman there, so I'm going to take Chris Buescher in my lineup.
That's a good pick, but you go again here with number 3.
Yes. Number 3, I think this is maybe the obvious one, maybe one that you might want to stay away from in that regard. I'm not sure where your maybe thought process is at on this guy, but it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's always in the conversation for wins, top 10s, anything like that at Talladega. The concern with him is maybe the aggression that he's had recently, but I think over the last couple of years especially, I think he's maybe refined that quite a bit. And we've seen him go out and get those really strong finishes more consistently and not causing as many wrecks and stuff like that. And he still has that aggression, just knowing when to use it at the right time. We saw him inches away from beating out Ryan Blaney last time we were here in the regular season as well.
If the start-finish line was literally like a foot or two further than what it is.
Maybe not even.
Like he would have got him. Like, yeah. He was so close.
So, in that chaotic finish, man, what a race that was. But anyways, for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. here, he's just such a super speedway talent where I think you're just kind of overthinking it if you're not putting him in. You're not worried about usages for him in general. Does he get involved in accidents? Sure. But even when you look at his entire career at a place like Talladega, 15 races, 9 top 10s. And there's a lot of people who maybe don't have the same level of aggression or anything like that, but have worse numbers. So he's always in conversation at the front. I think that maybe lends towards him getting some solid stage points as well, which even if he does wreck out at some point, maybe helps you out there a little bit. But I think Stenhouse is, as usual, going to be one of the big players going into Talladega here. And for that reason, he's in my lineup.
He's in my lineup as well. I couldn't say no to Stenhouse just because of the usages and how well he runs here more so than Daytona. I know he's won at Daytona in the past, but this is his super speedway track, not as much Daytona. I think the water lines help him a little bit in terms of his aggressive nature. He's very similar to Joey Logano in a lot of respects with these kind of tracks where they're super aggressive and sometimes that bites them in the butt, but also when they start a wreck, they usually get through it. So I'm going to take that kind of approach here and say that Stenhouse, even if he does kind of start a wreck, not to say that he will, because I think he, like you said, he has refined that a little bit the last 2 years for sure. But even if he does, I think he probably gets through it because the guy that usually starts a wreck does not get involved in it. And that's what drives people people the most insane about these kinds of tracks is that those guys don't usually, pay the consequences for their actions sometimes.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, that's. But I hate both sometimes, so that's kind of that's the tough part. Like Kyle said, he's got some good numbers here. 3 top 5s of the last 6 races. 57 laps led. Start 17th, was a fraction of an inch basically away from winning this race last season, and he's always putting himself in the right position, it seems, here at Talladega, the site of his first career Cup Series victory as well. So
yes,
that's what I'm going with for number 3. Number 4. I'm going with my first heavy hitter here. I'm going with a bigger name here in my lineup.
Okay.
It's going from the Team Penske stable. It's Joey Logano. And just because of the reason I just mentioned, he starts the wrecks and he never gets involved. And he's got one of the best average finishes here amongst anybody in the field at Talladega. He's better here than he is at Daytona. And over the past 6 races, he's got an average finish of 10.67. The third best amongst active drivers here. You've got John Hunter Nemechek that ran 2 races last season, actually had 2 top 10s.
Whooped you last year in fantasy.
Don't even bring it up. I've got Boyer on you at the Daytona road course. All right. So yeah, Joey Logano, he's got a win here over the past 6 races as well. 3 top 5s, 201 laps led. The Penske cars lead a lot of laps due to the Fords powerhouse that they are here. And they work so well together. They have the advantage in terms of numbers and how well that they perform on these super speedway tracks. And he's starting second. I know starting position doesn't really matter on these kinds of tracks, but having his teammates closer to the front with him, the Fords could do some damage early and get some pretty lofty stage points. That's the thing with Logano. He gets a lot of stage points, may not get the best finish at the end of it, but I think just in terms of getting that finish in those stages kind of compensates for maybe that lack of a good run at the results of the checkered flag. So that's my 4th guy in my lineup.
I'm not using Logano here at this one. I like the play in terms of him having the stats there, but I think a lot of it is dependent on him getting those big stage points. And I think it's just too much of a risk for myself, where I would rather take some other swings, save a Logano usage for somewhere else in the regular season here, because I've liked what I've seen from that team so far this year, specifically at the 750 horsepower tracks as well. So I like him going into the rest of the season here. They've been one of the top 3 teams so far this year. I do like the swing there in terms of his past success there. And even if he does crash out, he usually gets a pretty solid points haul. But I'm not going to go with Joey Logano in my lineup here. I'm going to look to try and save that usage. And I'm going to match you in terms of a big team driver in this regard, but maybe somebody who I'm not as concerned about using usages on for this season, which is a little funny to say because he is your defending race winner. Alex Bowman is in my lineup here. Hendrick Motorsports is a very interesting team at super speedways, as we've talked about many a time. It seems like they always like to run together and then always wreck out in the same wreck together. But looking at some of the trends recently, some of the Larry Mack trends here, the regular season Talladega race over the last 3 years for Alex Bowman has been pretty damn good. 8th in 2018, 2nd in 2019, and 7th just last year in 2020. It's been the playoff races that have really dropped down his average finish here, but I think he's a really solid super speedway racer. We know how much speed they can get in those Hendrick cars. It's just a matter of avoiding the wrecks. He's going to be starting in a really solid position. It's just going to be a matter of avoiding the wrecks. But if he can do so, I think he's a good candidate to get some good stage points. And of the kind of big name teams, I think he's got that perfect blend of a fast race car, teammates to work with, good super speedway prowess, but also not too worried about using 10 usages on him throughout the season. So Alex Bowman is my quote unquote big name in my lineup here.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know what to feel about Bowman. I am undecided on the 48 car. I will say
Please
that
talk
right
badly
now.
on him.
Okay. Nope. I will not.
Because we know how that works. But I am next as well.
Yeah. You got 5.
And for myself here, I'm taking another swing. But again, somebody that I'm not super concerned about using the usages on, but I think somebody who's a legitimate threat to win this race, his home track. He's getting a Netflix documentary. Bubba Wallace, welcome to the lineup. The Toyota crew like to work together. We saw that at the Daytona 500. He's part of that crew now. I just think that he's got some really, really solid super speedway talent. He maybe has tried to push it a little too far in the past, specifically with Richard Petty Motorsports, and maybe trying to do too much to try and get that win because that's what they needed to go out and make the playoffs. But consistent finisher in terms of being in kind of that 15th to 25th range, so he's not one of the first guys to wreck out. If he does, he's usually there late, and if he does wreck out, it's probably because he's trying to go out and get that really strong result. But I think 23-11 has really, really showed strong at the Daytona 500. I like the teammates he's working with. I liked what I saw from Bubba Wallace at that race as well, being consistently in the conversation until some pit strategy kind of threw away a chance at the win for them. But I really like Bubba Wallace on super speedways. Home track, 23-11. The Netflix doc just got announced. It feels like it's all pushing towards the right direction. Bubba Wallace is in my fantasy lineup.
Funny you mentioned Mr. Bubba, because I have him penciled in as my 5th guy as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I was undecided on Bubba a little bit, but I think for all the reasons you mentioned, like once again, he just has this prowess of doing well, and I was really, really impressed by the speed they showed at Daytona. The Toyotas are a little bit lesser so here at Talladega, I would say, than they are at Daytona usually.
Yep, that's fair.
But I think Bubba Wallace is just incredible talent on these kinds of tracks. Puts me over the edge to put him in.
Storybook, right? Just think about.
I know. It's so hard to not put him in.
Yeah.
And once again, you're not concerned about using all 10 usages on this 23 car this season. The super speedways, I played him in the 500. Let me down just right at the end, just with the pit penalty. Would have had such a great day, but was not meant to be there. Maybe it's meant to be here on Sunday at Talladega. So that's my 5th guy. And once again, I'm struggling with my 6th pick here, Kyle. It's just basically rinse and repeat every episode with this last pick. And I don't know why I'm struggling with the Talladega lineup, because it's just not going to pay off whoever I pick here. But
you're just thinking just for it to go the window in like lap 15 anyways.
Exactly. Like who's gonna last only 15 laps and just break my heart once again with these tracks. So I've got quite the list here in terms of people I am looking at for this last spot.
Not surprising.
Eric Jones, Corey LaJoie, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, and Justin Haley. I'm not going to go with Bowman because you took him. I'll go with a little bit of a different one. But the other ones, they're all kind of like these weird kind of picks because they're all Chevrolet drivers, and I didn't really see that coming from my last pick, but we're here. We're here, and we're loving it. Man, it's so tough because the RCR cars have pretty decent numbers here, and they've run pretty well on these super speedway tracks in the past. Dillon, a 500 champion. Reddick causes a lot of trouble on these tracks, but still ends up getting a solid finish at the end of it. Eric Jones is much better at Daytona than he is Talladega, but finished 4th, I think it was, 5th last year in this race, was so close to winning before getting bumped out of the way by Blaney coming to the stripe. And the 43 car does pretty well on these super speedway tracks since they know this is their best shot to win a race. I picked him in the 500. I'm a little bit more uncertain of him here at Talladega, so I'm going to stay away from Eric Jones in this thing, but I think he's definitely a really, really good usage. Man, this is tough. This is exceptionally tough. You know what? Screw it. Let's just go with Eric Jones.
Okay.
I'm going with Eric Jones as my last pick. I can't bring myself to pick a Spire or RCR car this weekend. I just can't do it. Or Ryan Preece. I know he's got great numbers here. I'm going to stick with my boy Eric Jones. I love him so much, and I think that this is a huge opportunity for him this weekend. And I'm not worried about usages on him. I don't know. It's probably not even going to pay off at the end of the day. It's not going to be a make or break kind of thing. But with the Chevrolet Alliance, I'll just go with him and say that he gets a decent finish at the end of the day.
Interesting pick there, Eric Jones. He was on my short list as well. But for myself in this final one, I'm calling a bit of an audible here. I'm not going to lie. Originally, I was basically going to pick one of Corey LaJoie or Justin Haley, go with like the safe pick,
Yeah.
the guys who are usually there at the end, get you a solid like 25 to 30 points along those lines. But that's not that fun, is it? No, that's not fun.
No.
So I thought that you were going to take LaJoie. I'm not going to lie, because for the 500, you took McMurray. I thought you were going to take another Spire car. You didn't. So I'll take a bit of a swing on a guy who's going to be mixing it up in the pack. Might just go out and wreck out, but I like him on super speedways. Veteran driver, so he's somebody that I feel good about potentially as playing the safe kind of mold here. And he's got some pretty damn good results here at Talladega recently as well. My final pick is also coming from the Chevy camp. Kurt Busch is my final pick.
Okay.
For my lineup here. Just looking at some of the regular season results here at Talladega. 9th last year, the year prior 6th. Before that 2nd, before that 6th, before that 8th, before that 12th. So you got to go back to 2015 for the last time you finished outside the top 10 in these regular season Talladega races. I know that's shortening the sample, but the pressure that's on a playoff driver in a Talladega race is different from one in a regular season race. So I'm just looking at those and seeing where it's gone recently. I like Chip Ganassi cars at super speedways as well. I thought about Ross Chastain for a little bit, but I feel like there's just a little too much aggression there, and he's got to refine it a little bit more in the Cup Series before he can become a true super speedway threat. But for myself, Kurt Busch, I think he's got that blend of veteran driver. I know I've used him a couple of times this year, but again, he's not somebody that I would be heartbroken about losing usages on or anything like that. And I think that they've legit got a shot to go out and get a top 5 or win the race. We know Kurt Busch is strong on super speedways. We know he's got a good car behind him. He's got a lot of teammates to work with in terms of the Chevy camp. So I'll take a swing, maybe a little bit unexpected for myself. I'll take a swing on Kurt Busch here.
I like it. I like it a lot with that last one there. So quite the matchup. Man, this is an interesting one. That's for sure. But let's go to the honorable mentions here. It's a long list. It's a very long list with honorable mentions for this episode.
What, are you just going to name the whole grid?
Basically, we've got Ryan Blaney as an honorable mention because he's won this race twice in his career so far. He's very, very good here. I just can't bring myself to put a usage on him this weekend. Denny Hamlin, one of the best, if not the best super speedway racer right now in the Cup Series. There's absolutely no way I'm using him on 2 or super speedway tracks this season. I am using him only for the 500 because that's more of a surefire bet than he is at Talladega. If you have 8+ usages left on Hamlin, maybe go for it. But with me at 6,
then I don't know, man. I thought about taking the swing, but like
I can't do it with Hamlin right now. I can't. He's just so good. He's just so consistent right now. 8 races in the top 5 of 9 so far. How can you really put him on a super speedway where he could get a great points week, but you'd probably rather have him at like a 1.5 miles for short track, basically anywhere. Hamlin's done exceptionally well this season. Kurt Busch was in my honorable mentions. I didn't want to put him in my lineup, but I think there definitely is some value with the one car this weekend. And as well in your lineup, Chris Buescher.
Put him? Can you put both of those guys in your stay away froms? Let me get to my stay away from. Don't you worry.
Okay. Don't you worry. Chris Buescher is definitely one I was looking at heavily, but when you said him, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go away from him this weekend, just so that it's just some variety, right? Yeah. So I think he's definitely a really, really good player for this weekend to get a solid top 10 potentially if he puts himself in the right position, and he got to have obviously a lot of luck at Talladega to avoid the big one. Corey LaJoie, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, Ryan Priest, those all kind of fall into the same category, and Justin Haley I'll put in there as well. I think those are all people you're not going to worry about usages. I could make an entire lineup of those 5 really if I wanted to.
And feel fine about it.
And feel good. That's the thing. And they're just really, really solid bets to get you some points this weekend. Why I didn't go with them, I don't know. But I can't give you a good reason why I didn't, because there's not really a good one. They could all make an exceptional value pick this weekend. And then the last 2, Alex Bowman is in my honorable mentions, so unfortunate for you there. And Brad Keselowski is in here as well.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, his numbers may not – I remember, back in like I guess, '09 to 2014, this was Keselowski's playground. Like, this guy was
Yeah, he's got like
almost
5 wins here, doesn't he?
unbeatable. But
Yeah.
it's been kind of a dry spell for the two cars. He's had some pretty bad luck on these super speedway tracks over the past couple of seasons. When we saw, I thought he was probably the best super speedway racer in the Cup Series, and that's definitely kind of migrated down towards being a top 5, top 10 kind of guy now. I don't know if that's the aero package or what, but
Yeah, that's Denny Hamlin's throne right now.
yeah, that's Denny Hamlin's throne. But I would definitely argue Keselowski was the guy to beat for many, many years. But he unfortunately fell in that Dale Jr. era where Jr. is still probably the best one. So he lost a couple races because of that, and maybe gained a couple because of it. It's just kind of up in the air. But Keselowski, I think, is due for a bounce back kind of on these super speedway tracks this season. Was running second, coming to the start finish line, going into turn 3 at the 500.
On lap 6 is what you're telling me?
Essentially, that's what I'm telling you. But Brad Keselowski, I don't know. I think there's some value maybe to be had there if you want to.
Shout.
If you don't want to, if you're on the fence of Keselowski's results so far this season, I think he could be a valuable usage baby. But I just wanted to throw him in there. Stay away from. So who's going to win the race this weekend? It's quite a bunch. And it's going to fall into these big tiers, all right? The rest of the Toyotas that are not in either of the people I've mentioned. No. Okay, so that includes Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. for this one. You do not want to use any of those 3 this weekend. And the rest of Hendrick Motorsports as well.
Oh, that's risky.
Yeah. I put William Byron, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson in that category here.
William Byron surprises me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
His usages are way too valuable right now. He's in the top 5 in points.
He's the top Hendrick car right now.
I can't play him here at Talladega when he's run so well in the top 10 basically every weekend. And the rest of SHR. So I've really spread myself thin. No. So that includes Kevin Harvick, Cole Custer, and Chase Briscoe. So basically all the heavy hitters on our traditional weekend, stay away from them this weekend, because if this season is any indication, it is absolutely chaos for the results at the end of this thing when the checker flag falls. And it most likely could be a top 10 filled with a bunch of these guys at the end of it. But that's a risk I'm willing to take, and their usages are too valuable, or they just don't get the results on these kinds of tracks. I think I've done a decent job with those, but at the end of the day, probably one of them will end up winning the stupid race. So I don't know what to do anymore. There's no winning for me here, and I can't let down the people because I do think they are legit stay away froms. But Alex Bowman just threw me out of the water there at Richmond last week when I only had 2 stay away froms, Blaney and him, and of course he wins the race. So that does it for the honorable mentions and stay away froms for Talladega. Yes. Do you want to add anybody to my list?
I don't have anyone I want to add, but we gotta give the randomizer some love, right? Okay. We gotta give the randomizer some love. So before we came on, I went ahead and of course I made my lineup, but I also randomized the lineup to go ahead and see what it would have been in an alternate scenario if I had gone ahead and decided to stick with Old Faithful and go ahead and do a randomized lineup.
I hate that website.
Would you like to know said randomized lineup? Because it's an interesting mix.
Honestly,
I gotta say
no, because I don't want to see how bad I'm gonna lose this weekend to the stupid randomizer.
I'm telling you anyways.
Okay.
So we start with Denny Hamlin. He was the first randomized one.
Are you joking?
I'm not even kidding. I have it in the order that it randomized. Denny Hamlin was the first randomized one, which, I mean, is a decent shout, but do I want to use a Hamlin usage at Talladega? Not really. So there's your first one.
No.
Second, Chase Briscoe, which, I mean, SHR is decent, but rookie driver, I'm not sure. Third, Kurt Busch.
Okay.
Fourth, Daniel Suarez.
Oh, he's a good shout this weekend too, I think. I could have put him in honorable mentions. I'll put him in there now.
Fifth, Tyler Reddick.
Oh.
And sixth, Joey Logano.
We're going to lose. We're going to lose. We're going to lose.
It's going to be better, I think, but I'm kind of glad I don't have to use those usages, though. Like, I don't want to burn Hamlin and Logano usages at Talladega.
That stupid site, man. I hate it.
It's literally just random.org. I mean, you know. But Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna set. That's a good lineup. That's a good.
But just be glad I didn't randomize my lineup and had that, because you would be fuming right now.
If you had both Logano and Hamlin in your lineup after the freaking randomizer gave you those guys, I would probably end the call right now. I would leave. I'm sorry. Like I can't fathom how that thing wants to do me in so bad each and every time we use.
It's really. I literally.
I'm thankful
put in
that you're not using
drivers.
it this weekend. Like that's
I literally
nuts.
put in 30 drivers, but I'm thankful I'm not too, because I don't want to use those usages. Because if it does go wrong, then I'm like in the hole big time the rest of the year.
Ridiculous. But yeah, it's close. It's 6-5 on the season series so far. So isn't it? Yeah,
yes.
6-5.
Yeah, you went up by 2, and then I won Richmond, so I'm clawing it back. But you've still got overall.
Is it 6-5? That's 11 races? No, that can't be right. It's 5-4.
Is it 5-4? Yeah, it's 5-4.
Yeah, 5-4. Yeah.
Trying to add a couple of races here, eh?
Sorry. Well, I'm just trying to predict the future, because I'm going to lose this weekend, but then I'll probably win the next one.
Yeah, so you're still up 1549 to my 1453, so you've basically still got like 90 points on me thereabout.
Okay.
But
that's going to go away real quick this weekend.
It's funny because every single time, like, you're always competitive, and I either like hit big or hit terribly, and there's like no in between for myself. So
yeah, I just have either heartbreak or victory. Basically, like it's just marginally
you
close.
Either win big or lose by like a margin. Like But alrighty, should we get to the most meaningless bonus picks of the year?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty.
I hate this. I hate it. Who goes first for this one?
I believe you do.
Because we have Arca in here.
You go first for the winner pick, correct?
Yeah.
So you, me, you. Oh, I go first for this. So it's
hey,
good thing,
all right.
Good thing we did it right, because it's snake style. So I had the last one. So okay, checks out. Top Chevrolet. See, these are dumb. Like, there's no, like, it's all just stupid. It doesn't matter. I'm taking Chase Elliott just in case. Like, he's won here in the past. He's good here. I don't know if he's going to do the thing. He could also finish last. I have no clue, but Chase Elliott is going to be my shout for top Chevy.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is mine.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going. I can't go with a big name for Chevrolet because I'm the most skeptical of the big names with Chevrolet. I think they may be the best overall threat, but I think the top end guys,
boom or bust.
Essentially, that's what I'm thinking for Chevrolet. But I'm going with Stenhouse. This is kind of his playground, and he's fallen short the last couple of years and was the top Chevrolet in this race last season. Let's see if he can replicate that once again. My least favorite category of them all, the top Ford finisher, because every time I don't pick Joey Logano, he is the top Ford finisher, and I am very skeptical to use him again this weekend, even though I have him in my lineup. Saying that, though, if I have him in my lineup, I'm going to go an audible right now using my own intuition. I'm going with Ryan Blaney here as my top Ford finisher, just because I don't have him in my lineup, and he does really, 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 really well here. I could totally go with Logano because he probably will be the top Ford finisher, but at least I have him in my lineup this weekend where I can use that as a little bit of a buffer and take that chance here with Ryan Blaney.
I'm going Joey Logano. Look, hey, you said it. You said it. If he's starting the wreck, then he's probably not in it, and that applies to Logano here. I do like Blaney because he's just been so good at Talladega here. If he's gotten through the wreck, he's basically winning the race essentially. But I'll take the shout for Joey Logano here and mix it up a little bit.
Alrighty, top Toyota.
The Toyotas are stupid. I have no clue what to do, so I'm just going to go Denny Hamlin. He's the best super speedway racer in the series right now. I don't want to use a usage on him or anything like that, especially because they usually like to stay away from the stage points and be there at the end has kind of been a strategy that they've liked to go with a
decent amount of time. They don't need to go for stage points right now. They're in such a huge lead.
Exactly.
Like, go for the win.
Exactly. So I'll take the shout for Denny Hamlin here.
I am going with Hamlin as well. I can't look at any of the Toyotas and say, yeah, you're going to beat Hamlin this weekend, apart from Bubba. Like, and even then, Hamlin's the odds-on favorite to win this category if he stays out of trouble. Yeah. So, as much as I would love to put Kyle Busch, I can't put him there. I think it's like, if I just want to go with reverse psychology and just go with that, but I'll go with Denny Hamlin for this one. This is the tough one because we're getting into these two can really make or break kind of your lineup here this weekend. Specifically the manufacturer, because the winning organization is tough to pick and the race winners obviously to pick. So this is valuable 10 points here maybe that could make or break our fantasy for this weekend. He could obviously go with any of the three manufacturers for this weekend, but I can't go with Toyota this weekend because they have way too less of cars compared to the pack of the Chevrolets and the Fords. It's just whether or not you've gone with Chevrolet or Ford, because I could see you probably just going the reverse of what I do or match me on it. I don't know what to think. I'll go with Ford.
Really? I'm a little surprised by that. Not gonna lie.
I had Chevrolet written down initially, but I'm gonna go with Ford.
I'm going with Chevy. When I'm looking at the players involved, I think there's a lot of Chevys spread across a couple of teams that could be in the hunt versus Ford, where it's primarily coming from one camp, and that's why I've gone with Chevrolet as my manufacturer and then Penske as my organization. Now, to be fair, Roush Fenway might be in the mix, and that might even things out in terms of Ford versus Chevrolet and those kind of picks there. But I think I'm going to play the field of the Chevrolets and then diversify and maybe take the swing on the Penske's as well.
Interesting.
Where are you going for organization, though? Are you splitting it up, or are you going heavy on the Penske's here?
I don't know, because I have Penske written. I had Penske written down, but I don't know if I want to go with it. Oh, this is tough. Yeah, screw it. Let's just go with Penske.
Yeah.
There's no way you can predict this. Like, you just have to go with the bigger organizations just to cover the odds. Like, I can't
take the 3-team organization.
I know, but I mean, saying that, I think all three could win this weekend. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's almost like it's just like a gong show. Like, who the hell knows? But
I hate it.
I think the biggest gong show is our winner picks, at least.
Well, we'll get to that a little later on. We have a couple of other series to get to first, and that's ARCA and Xfinity. I believe I start with ARCA here, right? That's how we're going. Go, and then you get Xfinity, and then I get Cup.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that makes sense.
All right, ARCA, Ty Gibbs. I don't care. I don't know.
The race is gonna suck, so I'm taking Drew Dollar.
Okay. And that does it for ARCA preview.
Yeah.
Xfinity.
I mean, I'm still going to watch it. I'm just going to hate watch it, but you know.
Yeah. You got first Xfinity pick?
My boy, Justin Haley. I thought about putting him in the actual lineup. I didn't follow through on it. I thought about one of the other colleague cars or something like that, but Justin Haley, he's the guy. He's the guy in super speedways, so I got to go with him.
I hate you.
Simmer down over there. Make your pick.
Brett Moffitt.
Oh, you so would. You so would. Oh, my Lord.
I don't care, honestly.
Oh, my God.
I hope he wins so bad this weekend, man.
Wow.
Oh, man. I don't know. I had Jeb Burton initially, but I'm like, let's just go let's go for the Bants. I had Justin Haley, but then he took him, and I was like, okay, I'll go with Jeb. But no, let's go full troll mode. Brett Moffitt is the Xfinity Series winner. Cup Series winner pick. You have yours?
I do.
Oh no.
And here's my tease. You should know who it is. That's all.
Okay.
I know that throws you for a loop as you try to make your pick. But
well, I'm going to go with my gut on this one, and I'm going to cover my bases. I'm not going with the Penske guy for this one.
Okay.
As much as I would like to, because I can't go all in on Ford at a track like this. It's just way too risky. I'm going with the guy that I picked for Richmond, the super speedway ace, Denny Hamlin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm playing it safe, and I'm going to say that he's there at the end. And I can't pick a lower level name than Hamlin this weekend. It's way too risky, and I'd rather be safer than sorry if a big name does end up winning.
Who do you think I'm picking?
I have no clue.
After that, you have no clue.
No, honest to God.
I've told you who my race winner pick is already.
Is it in your lineup?
No. I find that interesting.
Chase Elliott?
Because we did season previews for each series. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. For the Cup Series 1, we did surprise winner picks.
Oh,
correct?
my God. Oh, my God.
Correct? Come on. I can't make a surprise winner pick at a track like Talladega and then not follow through on it. Your race winner getting redemption for what should have been his first career victory, just splitting hairs at the playoff race at Talladega, is ya boy getting his 100th win for Wood Brothers as well. John Wood was on Dale Jr. Download this week as well. It's all looking good. Matt DiBenedetto is your race winner at Talladega. Following through, hey, I can't go surprise winner pick in the preseason show and not follow through on it when we get here. Matt DiBenedetto is getting it done for the Wood Brothers.
Oh my God. I cannot. You didn't mention him the entire episode.
I know. I played you there. But
man,
there you go.
What a weird one. But
hey,
it makes sense.
I said it in the preseason. I can't not follow through on it. So.
Okay, I have him in my honorable mentions. Then is Matt DiBenedetto, just so it doesn't happen.
Come on.
I don't need those.
But there you go.
But if you get that right, that's impressive. If you can pull.
Dude, if I get that right after like saying that preseason too, I'll feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, but, that's kudos to you there.
He's also had some terrible luck on super speedways, so we'll see. But
yeah. Alrighty.
You know what? Might as well take a shout. Why not?
Absolutely. You got nothing to lose. Michael McDowell, the Daytona 500 winner, was not mentioned whatsoever in any of these categories this weekend, but he has had some pretty poor numbers here at Talladega.
He's got
that's
one
why.
top 10 in 20 races.
Yeah, it's been
Talladega.
really bad. And for front row's success here in the past, winning the 1-2 with David Reagan and David Gilliland, I just couldn't mention him at all this weekend, despite his win in the 500. He's always there at Daytona, never here at Talladega. So I just wanted to throw that in there right at the end of things. But that does it for the NASCAR fantasy preview for Talladega for this upcoming weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed that part of it.
Yes.
Congrats on your win, Kyle, for the weekend, just ahead of time, just so we can get that out of the way and we can address that now before the race recap episodes next week.